CM Punk.
Yeah.
So Punk confirmed in an interview, rumors, he confirmed this in an interview with Collider Live that he did on-camera testing for FS1 for their WWE studio show called Backstage that's going to be premiering on November 5th on FS1. Renee Young and Booker T have been announced as the hosts of that. Punk did not confirm or deny that he's got the job. But he did confirm they did it on camera testing. I think Meltzer said that he did a good job and that there's a good chance that he's going to get hired.
Fox likes him, yes.
Fox likes him. Now, Meltzer suggested that WWE might not be happy if Fox hires him. He compared it to when Ariel Helwani worked for Fox and UFC was working with Fox and they got Ariel Helwani fired. I disagree with that line of thinking.
That was different. Helwani was getting UFC checks. He came clean about that on his broadcast because that was a major ethical violation. And he revealed that. And the reason that happened is because he put out the Brock Lesnar news. That wasn't because UFC just wasn't happy. They were thrilled because he was out there breaking news on their own show.
I get it, but what I'm saying is I think that in this case, WWE would be cool with Fox hiring Punk because it means it's going to keep him away from AEW. And so I don't think they'll have a problem with it. Now, I want to give you my take on this. There's some people that are going to say, oh, there's no way he's going back to WWE. And Punk himself in that interview said, this is a Fox deal. This is not a WWE deal. I'd be working for Fox, and I'm not interested in getting back in the ring. And that's what Punk said, right? Now, you look at the past. You look at Jesse Ventura. You look at Hulk Hogan. You look at Bruno Sammartino, Superstar Billy Graham, The Ultimate Warrior, Jeff Jarrett. As Hunter himself has said, never say never in these situations. If I'm CM Punk, and you and I talked about this off the air, he's going to be 41 the end of this month, Sean. All right? He's going to be 41. That means that CM Punk, it's time for him to think about how can I maximize my money, my earning years now. I don't think he gives a shit about 5-star matches with AEW stars like Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho or anybody else. I don't think he cares about that. I think he cares about broadcasting opportunities, movie opportunities, television opportunities. And where is he going to get those opportunities between WWE and AEW right now? He's going to get them with WWE. And so it's not going to shock me if he does return and do something with WWE. Do I think he's going to go on a pro wrestling run in the ring? No. Do I think he might do a one-off like a Saudi show or WrestleMania? Yeah, I think there's a possibility that could happen. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a possibility of it too. And the way I always put it, I can't pretend to understand the motivations of anybody else, especially somebody who's complex like CM Punk and the things that he wants. I don't know what his financial situation is like. I don't know if – I mean, we do know that really good matches used to drive him, really creative things used to drive him, and – there are things that used to drive me that don't drive me anymore, but there are still elements of it. So maybe that's in him. That'd be just speculation on my part. Do I think he'd prefer a broadcasting gig? Based on the way that he talks, I certainly do.
Yeah.
It seems like it, and I know that Fox liked the way that he appeared on camera. He's had plenty of experience doing that. Yeah, the funny thing is, Jimmy, it's a shame that him and Colt Cabana had a falling out because if they had a podcast, it'd be the most successful podcast in wrestling, bar none.
Yeah, aside from the threats of lawsuits on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
but,
besides that.
So I was gonna touch upon that, but first I want to ask you, what used to drive you that doesn't drive you anymore?
Competing in MMA. I don't want that anymore. I don't like cutting weight anymore. I don't like doing any of that. I don't have any desire to do that anymore.
Got ya. Okay. So other Punk news, and you just mentioned it, the lawsuit with Cabana. So Cabana was suing them for $1.2 million. Cabana claimed Punk reneged on his offer to fund Cabana's lawsuit against Dr. Chris Amon. And Punk went back and forth with somebody on Twitter because, details hadn't been released about the settlement. So people
couldn't.
Yeah, there we go. So people make assumptions. So Punk went back and forth. He said he offered Cabana money before. Cabana declined it. He said he wanted to go to trial this time. He offered a mediation. If you're not familiar with that, a mediation is when you bring the two parties together with a nonpartisan third party, and they try to work out the details of a settlement that way. He said Cabana declined that as well. And then Cabana just suddenly came back looking for a settlement, and they got it done. Terms weren't disclosed. Unfortunate situation, lifelong friends, and, money got the best of them. And you see this all the time. Money does that to people,
I hate it. I really do. I widely consider the two podcasts that they did on WWE two of the greatest podcasts in wrestling history. Right. Occasionally, I'll go back and listen to them. They were just really, really good. Cabana is really good at listening. He's really good at setting things up. Punk is a great talker. There's a great skit that's online. It's a skit that Colt Cabana did called Cut My Promo, where he would pitch a match and like he would have somebody else cut a promo for that match for him. And CM Punk did it for him, and it was incredible. They played off of each other really well, and CM Punk was like, I don't cut my own promos anymore. I don't know why you're having me do it. Like they did it really well, and you could tell they had that best friend chemistry, and I hate to see this. Like, it's a bummer.
It is, yeah, and you know what I'm always going to remember about that podcast when Punk, told all on Cabana's podcast. I listened to that podcast in the hospital while my wife was giving birth to my daughter.
Wow.
And so I will always remember it because it came out either that morning or the night before. And my brother-in-law mentioned it to me. He said, hey, the Punk podcast is out, and so I listened to it.
So that was over Thanksgiving.
And she was born the end of November.
Yeah, because I remember that. I remember it was like Thanksgiving morning.
Right.
Like at midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, and I transcribed the entire thing and did a bunch of articles on it.
Right.
It was, at that point, it was the biggest thing I had ever covered because I'd only been into full-time wrestling for maybe a few months at that point, but it was huge.